Hey everyone, my name is Edward Reap, and I was formerly on a hunger strike protesting the new mask mandate in Hoboken, New Jersey. I've lasted about 3 days. I'm going to call it quits. There's a few reasons for this. One of the reasons is that I wasn't able to get in contact with a doctor. Telemedicine is like totally backed up, probably because everyone's really afraid of Omicron and trying to have an appointment, even though in many past years, if you had cold-like symptoms, doctors wouldn't even want to talk to you. They'd just be like, go take some Tylenol. So telemedicine is completely impossible to get a hold of. I can't talk to a doctor about a safe way to handle a hunger strike and having it last until like Sunday or even longer. So I'm going to call it quits and potentially be preparing for a hunger strike down the road. Whether this second hunger strike would be in Hoboken, or if hopefully Murphy in Trenton doesn't implement a mask mandate, but if he does, maybe it would be down there, or maybe it could be on a national or international level, or in New York, who knows. But there definitely are more hunger strikes to come, if not me, then hopefully others in the freedom movement. Another reason I'm ending the hunger strike is I think that through the course of doing this, I've been able to learn more about the views of people in the city and understand where people are coming from with regard to mask mandates. And I've come to this great realization, which I think is the key to my side, the anti-mask mandate side, winning long term. And this is the key. The pro-mask mandate side really has a few factions in it. And those factions aren't necessarily aware that the other factions exist. They all think that everyone else on the pro-mask mandate side thinks the way they do. But here's the truth. A lot of people who support mandates hate masks as much as I do. And they know why it's wrong, especially for kids, especially like for everyday life, like when you go to a restaurant or go somewhere, they know why it's wrong. They know how horrible it is to crush the joy of looking at human faces and having those deep interactions. They know that when you mask a society en masse, you're really hurting our social solidarity, our social camaraderie. It's very bad long term for society, and for kids especially, because that kind of intense socialization is such an awesome part of growing up. And even if kids don't realize they're missing it, it's a big deal, even if they don't know it. So there's a lot of folks who know how bad all the mask stuff is, but they think that if we keep wearing the masks, it will all go away and then we'll be able to go back to normal. And that's their viewpoint. Of course, has that worked? Have we gone back to normal? No. And the reason is because another segment of the pro-mask group, the other faction, is in favor of masks being a normal thing, whether they want kids masked forever to prevent the spread of like any disease in schools, when, getting sick in school used to be normal, especially because, we look at the stats with kids and COVID anyway. And then we look at, or if they don't want it, they probably want it forever in schools, probably forever in public transport. And if they don't want it forever, like an outright mask mandate for adults, they probably want it seasonally. And that's the fact. And if you talk to a lot of people, they're going to say, oh, what's the big deal with masks? They don't matter. It doesn't bother me at all. Maybe, some people might have just fundamentally different human psychology. So some people have this one psychological trait that makes masks bother them because they have some kind of deep connection to social interaction and human faces. And then another segment of society doesn't. And whatever, it's okay for people to have different psychologies. But whatever it is, there's a percentage of people who lack the psychological trait that would make you care about human faces. And they're like, well, if it provides any benefit at all in reducing disease, why not just have this be a permanent fixture? And I think, and then that's a huge group of people. If you talk to people, so many people are like, oh, what's the big deal with masks? What's the big deal? Maybe we'll have this in schools for a long time or permanently. Maybe we'll do this every winter. And I tell you, those of you who are pro-mask mandate, but know that masks are awful, who are pro-mask mandate because you think that us wearing the mask will make it go away, that's not the case. And you got to recognize there's the other group that wants this forever because they have a fundamentally different way of looking at the world. Like some people, when you tell them when you say, oh, masks make life a lot less enjoyable, they 100% get it. They clicks for them. They're like, oh, of course. Yeah. You can't see people's faces when you're going around and doing stuff. Of course, that's awful. I would only support it temporarily for, some kind of benefit, but it shouldn't be like and then other people are like, what's the big deal? It's a piece of cloth. It's because of this inner psychology. And it's fine that we live in a world where people fundamentally see the world differently. But the folks, and I have obviously come from the perspective of folks who have the psychological trait that makes masks very, very painful and tormenting, right? And in the folks who are pro-mask, but have my same psychological trait that understands the tormenting aspect of it, you have to understand that like it's not just a temporary thing where if we all do it, it causes COVID to go extinct. Like this is an endemic virus. Vaccines are great. Take vaccines. Treatments are great. If you feel sick, stay home. And that's a great way to run a society. And you know what? Death is a part of society. I actually don't oppose making all the speed limits 15 miles an hour, to tell the truth. Okay. I'm probably more of a hawk on cars than on COVID. I would actually support making it extremely hard for people to get driver's licenses and lowering the speed limits. That's one reason why I don't drive. Okay, so I understand, but obviously all those people are going to disagree with me when I say we should make it really hard for people to get driver's licenses, and when I say that we should make the speed limit 15 miles an hour. Understand where we're coming from. Imagine if someone made you wear a bicycle helmet everywhere when you were going, even in case a rock fell on you. Obviously, the stats aren't quite like that, but I'm just saying. But anyway, this is the key to life being normal. Recognize that this is how the lines are drawn. This is the debate we're having in our society. There's going to be those in our society who want us to go back to pre-2020 norm. And then there's going to be those in our society who are like, what's the big deal with kids wearing masks all the time? What's the big deal with seasonal masks every winter and masks forever on planes and trains and, communal settings or whatever? That's going to be one side. And then there's the true normal side. You're going to have to pick a side. You're going to have to pick the let's actually go back to normal side, or these mandates are going to be around forever side, because COVID's going to be with us forever. And it's probably going to be with us forever in a mild form, very similar to the Omicron variant. I'm not sure how we get to a point where things are milder than this. Maybe you'll have an even, Omega variant that's even milder than Omicron. But as long as people do this obsessive testing where they're constantly testing themselves, it's going to be the same thing. So there's no scenario where COVID disappears. So you have to choose. Are you on the side of the go back to normal, like it was before 2020? Or are you on the side of let's do masking forever and maybe even vaccine passports? I don't know. You're that side. And it's probably going to be partisan. Probably going to be moderate Democrats and Republicans saying we should go back to normal, and hardcore Democrats saying we should, do the COVID stuff forever. That's probably how it's going to be. Okay. I hope there's more Democrats who go the moderate route, because I'd much rather have a system where everyone's in agreement that we need to go back to normal. Okay. So that's where it's going to be. So you have to make a choice. Anyone who thinks that if they comply with the mandates temporarily, that it will go back to normal because you complied, that is wrong. There's a binary political choice. And that's what I realized while I was hunger striking. It's the binary political choice. Either we go back to normal or we do this forever. There's no temporarily do the mandates and then eventually it will all be fine. Okay? That's how it's going to be. What do you choose? Love and peace, everybody. Love and peace.